Hello there YouTubers, this is another one of my little how to fix things videos, but this one incorporates a bit of a confession. I've already made one attempt to do this and cocked it up royally. Now this is electric window mechanism on a Ford Fiesta. This is a 2004 mk5 Fiesta. What tends to go with the electric window mechanism with them is, this is one of the original cables. They rust off, break off, and then you've got no windowy going up and down, and in fact window stuck down and it's starting to rain. So what I did is I had a little look on eBay and Amazon and all those places, and lo and behold, on there is a repair kit which incorporates new cables, and a new capstan roller bit which is supposed to wind the cables round, and I spent a considerable time trying to work out how and what goes where, because there's little ends on them that clip into the little bits there, and I put it all together how I thought, fitted the card in the car, temporarily connected the cables up and stuff. Yeah, and it wound up and down fine. So I put it back in the car and put the glass back in it. The glass clips on these plastic pieces, and this is something you need to remember for later on, that when you put them back in, you need to wind the motor up and down so those plastic clips line up with these holes, so that you can push the clips there and clip the window back in. Managed to do all okay. Yeah, and it wound up and down a couple of times okay, and then there's an awful crunching noise, and I thought, oh, here we go, I've broke the glass. But no, that wasn't the case. It was rather the case of all these cables mangling up, and this is a classic case of penny wise and pound foolish, because I think I paid £13 for this repair kit, which I thought was pretty good. But lo and behold, on eBay they do a ready assembled kit, no doubt other places sell them, which actually even comes with a set of instructions which the other repair kit didn't come with. Now this is already assembled, and of course it's got new capstan bits in there and all the rest of it ready to bolt on. So basically this part of it bolts in place with four, I think they're T25 torque screws. There's one at each corner basically. Now notice I've left these bottom ones off, and I will when I put the new one on, because you have to lift these runners up and tuck a cable in behind. Now the cable is secured by these tie wrap little clip things. Now I try to unclip these, but those popping off these little pop rivet things is very difficult, so it's easier to cut the tie wrap off and leave it as long as you can, and it gives you a chance of wrapping the tie wrap round it and securing it all in place when you finish, because there's a cable that runs from front to back for the lock mechanism, and I found it very difficult to get it off the lock. So easier to cut those bits and then thread it back up in afterwards. Right, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to fit the new piece to it with the bolts, and I'll show you that in place, and then we're going to attempt to fit it to the car. Right, here we are again. I had to use a longer torque bit, which you can buy these longer bits to sort of get in and screw that in place, because the window carrier clips here are sort of slightly unfortunately parked to do those screws up. The other thing I don't think I mentioned earlier is the difference in cost between the repair kit I bought initially and was unsuccessful was £13, and this whole ready assembled bit kit £24. So really it's one of those things that sort of trying to save a little bit of money is you know, rather foolish really, for the aggravation involved. Right, there's a tie wrap around the capstan thing that keeps that in place. Now I'm going to keep that on there until I've secured the that from the other side, because that holds in place from this side. That is, these three bolts are there where the actual motor fixes, and this is a bit of a fiddly job to put back in the car. I mean, mainly it's held in place by screws all the way around the outside, but you do have to get a couple of locating pins, namely this one here and this one here, when you take it off, there's a slight notch in that, so you've got to sort of lift it up to get the card to come out. But there was also, unfortunately, broke off here. There were some plastic clips here because there's a plastic shield piece that fits on the door lock, and I had so much trouble trying to get it apart. They wound up breaking off, so we might wind up having to put a self-tapping screw to pull them back in, or maybe a couple of holes with a tie wrap or something like that. So the thing you do really need to do this job, tool-wise, is a 1/4 inch drive socket set with some Torx bits, pair of side cutters really, some tie wraps, and a couple of screwdrivers when you're fighting to get the door card off. Right, here we are looking at the actual door of the car, and I have to say I'm a bit nervous about making a start on this because it's kind of drizzly rain here at the moment, and it's been raining for days, which is not an unusual thing, even in the middle of June in the UK, but there we go. As you can see, I've got the window propped up with bits of wood to keep the rain out, so I'm going to get brave now. I'm going to take the bits of wood out and take the window out and go for broke. The other things to notice that you need to thread back through, that is the door catch, and it goes through there. That's the piece of plastic I was telling you about that's got the slotted bits to hold it back in place. There's one still left on the actual door card, I notice. This is the wiring for the actual window switches. The blue one, notice, is for the left hand door, so when you put it back together, make sure you put that on the outside like that, so they're the right way round. That is the connection for the radio stereo speaker. That cable there clips onto the motor. This is the cable I was telling you about, which you have to thread through the bottom of behind the runners and hold it in place with tie wraps. For some bizarre reason, I can't seem to get the door lock connector off. There's probably some sort of catch in the bottom, but since I don't need to move it, I am not going to risk breaking it. Right, now this is doing up the screws on the bottom rails. You definitely need a ratchet for this. You certainly have trouble getting a Torx screwdriver in there. I'm going to just nip this one up. I'll show you all the other little points of things you need to remember. Be a bit careful with these because you are screwing into plastic. You don't want to be stripping the plastic threads out. That's tight enough. The other things to remember is to connect the speaker up. You've got to tuck the cables through this grommet here. You bring the cables through the motor and the switches. The other thing to remember is to thread the cable through for put the grommet thing in place in a moment. That's the door release catch. The other thing I'm going to have to do now is cut this tie wrap off and screw the capstan bit in place with the motor. I'll show you that in just a second. And you can see where I've tie wrapped, not very easy to see, not a massive amount of light in there, I've tie wrapped the cable into place in a couple of places and cut the long black tie wrap ends off. The number one thing we don't want is anything snagging on the window. Okay, well, I've managed to put the card in. You've got to sort of drop the bottom of the card in, and then it moves up a little bit, and I have to wiggle it backwards and forwards and try and put this piece of plastic on, the bit I was telling you about with the sort of slotted bits broke off. There's one left on there, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to drill a self-tapping screw through there just enough to retain it, and I'm going to have to fiddle around and try and put that rubber grommet thing on the door release catch back on. I've connected the motor up and the switch buttons, and just carefully trying it out now. You can see it goes down. So what we've got to do is wind it down. Do you see the plastic little clips in those holes? And you're gonna, when the card's all back in place, that's how you can see the window fix back in place. and hopefully this one's in the window as well. Yes, he is, so it all lines up. So we're sort of starting to get there now. Right, I have fitted my little self-tapping screw into the door panels to hold together, and made sure I only used a short number 8 self-tapper, and made sure it doesn't foul the glass as it goes up and down. The other thing to do now, there are 12 bolts around the outside that actually hold the door panel on. So battery drill's a pretty quick and easy way of putting them in. A little bit awkward for me, left-handed, like so, all the way around. Probably ought to set the torque. Well, you get the picture with that. So screw all those on all the way around. Then the next thing is to unplug the switch and clip it back in I'll poke it through the door, and it's got to be clipped back in there when we put the actual door card on. The other thing that's got to go back on is the wing mirror adjustment thing that more or less clips on. So what I'll do now is I'll do the rest of the bolts up, and we'll then put the glass in, and that's the fun bit, believe me. Don't know if it shows too well, but there's actually a hole in the glass, and the little plastic clip, it's got a little clip piece on it which clips through the glass, and that's how the glass is actually moved up and down. Now if I take the torch away, I don't think you can see so well, but what I'm going to do now is push down on the glass, and it should go click. You can just about see it coming through, I think. And yeah, that's it fixed. If I turn the ignition on now, you should be able to see the glass going up and down, and there we go, it's all working. And trust me, that's a relief, because it's been a load of aggro. So what I've got to do now is put the actual door card trim on. It sort of clips down behind the glass and pops on. There are a couple of screws that go in here and here with this door handle. I think, is it that way up or the other way up? I'll show you that anyway when the card's back on. And there's some other little plastic clippy screw things that go through these two bits on the bottom as well, and the rest of it is snap in place through these little stud holes around the thing. So we'll do that now. At this stage the door panel's going on. He's loose now, but what he actually does, he actually drops down from the top and then clips down. I've already put the door catch lever on, make sure it's moving the lock mechanism, and more or less it snaps in place now. You give it a bang, the plastic studs as we go round. There's 2 screws which hold the door handle on. They go in there and there. It's there and there. And then once you've connected the snap switch, the switch is down through there. Like so. I think that's the right way up. Yes, it is, because there's a little mark thing on there which goes in the corresponding little slot in the trim piece. It goes down in there. The switches are connected up. Oh, then they can pop in. Kind of hard to do one-handed. There are 2 little screw things like this that need, I think, a 10mm or an 11mm socket to fix them, and they go up from underneath. One there, one a bit further along, about there, and there's also 1 screw that goes in there. And as I said before, this wing mirror adjustment bit goes in place. So here we are, all done. Window goes up and down nicely. Any creaks and bangs and cracks. Put all the trim bits back on. So really, I've kind of done this video backwards, I know. So really, if you want to take your door card off, the first thing you have to do, there's a little plastic cap that goes over that, which I can't find at the moment, but I know I left it in the car, so I'll find that and snap that back on. There are the two plastic clips I mentioned earlier underneath the door here. They're funny. You need to put a socket, M10 socket on them. Undo those, and then it's you need to take the door handle cover off and the switch cover, and that's done by putting a small screwdriver underneath it, more like, and prising it off without breaking it. And then the rest of the door panel pulls from the bottom and it lifts up over the sill, because it incorporates the seal, the window seal. So that's how the actual card comes off, and the inner door card with the mechanism on, as you've seen that pretty well anyway. So all I need to do now is get my grubby little paw marks, because I've got big paws, off of the windows and the door card and all the rest of it, and the job's all done, which is all good. Cheers now.